Good morning. Welcome to CADCORP's webinar today. The webinar is titled What to Consider When Maximising Your Web Mapping System. Before we begin this morning, we're going to be recording the webinar today. So after the webinar this afternoon, we'll send you a link to that recording. Feel free to share it with your colleagues. We'll make it available on our website as well. So do feel free to share that. That would be great. The webinar is going to be about 45 minutes today, just to give you a rough idea of timing. Please do ask questions. Webinars are obviously a little bit different to face-to-face meetings, but do use the questions panel in the webinar interface. Ask questions throughout the webinar today, just when you think of them. Put them in that questions panel, and then we've got some time at the end to review all of those questions and answer as many of them as time allows. When the webinar finishes, a survey will pop up in your browser. It's about 4 or 5 questions, and if you could answer those questions, that would be excellent. That feedback gives us the opportunity to continue to provide webinars and to improve on them as well. My name is Fergus Craig. My title is Business Development Manager here at CADCORP. I look after some of our local authority customers and our housing customers and commercial organisations as well here at CADCORP. I'm joined today by my colleague Simon. I'll let Simon introduce himself.
Yeah, thank you, Fergus. Good morning, everyone. My name is Simon Parker. I'm the pre-sales team leader at CADCORP, and this morning I'll be providing you with a software demonstration to show you how you can maximise your web mapping system with Addin applications.
Great, thanks, Simon. We're going to turn our cameras off now just to allow you to concentrate on the presentation. And yeah, like Simon says, Simon's going to be providing the demonstration. I'm going to introduce some of these concepts and ideas in this presentation to begin with. Then I'll hand over to Simon. Then towards the end, we'll have a look at those questions and review those and answer as many as we can for you. So just looking through the delegates today, obviously many of you, it looks like many of you are familiar with CADCORP. You know who we are and what we do. Many of you are CADCORP customers, which is great to see. But just, I know a few of you are new to CADCORP, so just to introduce the organisation, we're a UK-based software development company. So we create the spatial information system. We call that CADCORP SIS, and that is a web, mobile, and desktop mapping application. So it's mapping and GIS, geographical information systems, and that's how that's the family of applications that we provide to our customers. In the UK, we provide the applications to our customers directly. Throughout the rest of the world, we provide the technology through our partners and distributors. In the UK, we work really closely in the housing sector, in government, local government and central government. There's lots of emergency services customers joining us today, which is great to see. We've got several insurance companies using CADCORP technology, and then the infrastructure sector is another one that CADCORP concentrates on as well. There's lots of organisations that don't fit into these sectors that use CADCORP technology also. So we've got a poll to start, so it'd be great if you could answer the first question. We always think it's good to be interactive with our webinars, and you should see in front of you now, does your organisation currently use CADCORP SIS Web Map? Now, I'll come on to what web map is in just a few seconds. For those of you who don't know, many of you might be CADCORP customers and use other CADCORP applications such as CADCORP SIS Desktop or CADCORP SIS Geognosis or other applications. But it'd be really good to see the split of organisations that are using web map itself. So that's really great to see. I can see results are still coming in, which is good. But it's close to 50-50 actually. About 55% are saying yes, and 45% are saying no. So that's really interesting to see. It's really good to understand who's watching and how to focus the presentation. So we'll close that, and then we have another poll, which you should see now, probably focused more on those who are using CADCORP SIS Web Map. And the question which you should be able to see, are you interested in adding functionality to CADCORP SIS Web Map? So those results are coming in now, which is it's yeah, it's good to see. So yeah, the vast majority have said yes. You are interested in adding functionality, so that's really good to see. You're in the right place, so that's good. We'll close that poll now. Thank you. So, as I said, the title of today's webinar is what to consider when maximizing your web mapping system. So although over half of you are using web map already, and you're obviously interested in additional functionality and additional ways in which you can utilize the application, that's great to see, but I appreciate organizations, many of you don't have CADCORP Sys web map, and this will be a really good opportunity to see the application in use, but more in ways in which you can build on that base application to meet specific requirements. So we're going to be focusing a lot on the add-in applications that you can bring into the web map environment today. And they maximize the value of a web mapping system because you can really focus in and utilize the web mapping for those specific purposes. So we'll look at how the web mapping add-ins increase that return on investment of the initial application itself. And we'll also look at, in addition to web map add-in applications, we'll look at integration applications as well, and ways in which CADCORP Sys web map has built in on ways in which you can integrate with other third-party or other applications, other services, other APIs. We'll have a look at that as well. And then there's some specialist add-ins which are very much industry specific. So if your organization is in that industry sector, then you might be aware of them. But if you're not, then it'll be really interesting for you to see what other CADCORP customers from other sectors are using as well. You may see that there's crossover benefit of that type of application. So just for those of you who aren't using CADCORP Sys web map, who maybe aren't familiar with the application, a quick introduction. CADCORP Sys web map is designed to be fast, intuitive, just easy to use, a web mapping application. It's accessed through any web browser, and it's a way in which you can visualize and analyze and report on geographical data. So you can see very detailed mapping data, or you can bring in Ordnance Survey mapping data or other mapping data to drop in as a background, or for use for analytical purposes. You can connect to your business systems and bring in your business data, and it gives you that view, that really powerful view of business data, geographically speaking. And then there's lots of analytical tools in there as well, but we'll cover a lot of those during the demonstrations today. So CADCORP Sys web map is also available on mobile devices as well. It's a view of the application which is designed specifically for small screen devices. So that's really useful for people who are out and about, who are wanting to get access to the geographical data whilst on their mobile devices, and that works really well. So first question to answer, really, why are there web mapping applications, these add-in applications that we're going to be talking a little bit more about? Well, it enables CADCORP, us, the software developers, to meet a range of different requirements. CADCORP Sys web map, as I've just described, is a base application. It fulfills requirements for the vast majority of users who require a web mapping for various reasons. And but quite often organizations will want to build on that and either build specific functionality or utilize functionality for particular use cases. So it enables CADCORP as an organization to meet your requirements by adding on these additional applications to the environment. And what that does is lower the initial investment for customers that do just want the CADCORP Sys web map functionality, who don't require those particular elements, which is really good for that group of customers, and enables us to support all these different industry sectors with industry sector specific applications as well. And it means that you as a customer, it increases that return on investment because you're increasing the use of the applications. Perhaps you're a local authority and you've got members of the public accessing this environment, and if you increase the use of it, you can increase the self-service, decrease members of the public getting in touch with by other means because they can access the information they require themselves. Just one example. So there's lots of different types of applications that we're going to be looking at today. We're going to look at the web map add-in applications, and there's several which we'll talk about in a second. And then there's some industry-specific web map applications that I mentioned as well. And then we've got some custom web map applications that we'll talk about. And then there's integration using web map applications, integrating with other services or other sources as well. So the first web map application we're going to discuss, and when I hand over to Simon in a few minutes, he's going to run through all of these in a demonstration as well, so you can see them all and see how they work. Report It is the first one. It's a way in which end users of the application can utilize web map environment to be able to pinpoint things that are happening and report on those, report the geographical location, report information about incidents or about things that are happening on the ground, and a functionality to be able to report that back. That can be dropped into the CADCORP Sys web map environment, so it's a really powerful tool. Find It is a relatively new application that can be brought into the web map environment, and it provides a really simple way to query lots of like a large number of data layers. It's normally used for planning constraints, but it can be used for lots of different examples as well. So you either draw a freehand search or select an item, and it will drill down through lots of different data layers. It will give you the results, as you can see in the interface here, and then it can also generate a report which can be used outside of the web map environment as well. Edit is an add-in application which enables the user of the web map environment to edit the core database, the core spatial information through the web map environment. So you can create polygons or lines or points within CADCORP Sys web map, and that data is stored in a database, either on-premise or in the cloud. You can edit existing data, you can edit the attributes on those items as well. There's a security model around it, so you can control who has access to editing different overlays. So you have a lot of control over that, which is obviously something to consider when making editing available to a large number of users. But really powerful, a great way to share responsibility for data sets around the organization. And Local Knowledge, another CADCORP Sys web map add-in application, enables the web map administrator to make assumptions on how people, the end users of the application, either members of the public or your colleagues internally, you make assumptions about what they're going to be using web map for, and you can give them all of the results in one view that you think they're going to be wanting to access via web map. So it makes all of sort of the advanced spatial queries just really easy and accessible. They don't have to use tools like you would do in other applications to be able to query the data and get the results. You just search for a location or use your location of your GPS or drop a pin on the map, use the local knowledge tool, and as you can see here is one example. There's lots of different examples of how you can then query lots of data in there and bring back the results, making it very quick and easy for people to access the information they require. We have some industry-specific web map applications. This one is our fire query tool, very obviously specific for our fire customers to be able to query incident data, and it gives you lots of options, as you can see in the screenshot here, and different ways in which you can query that data. So it's very much designed and utilized by our fire customers, but it would be a really good opportunity to show all of our customers and everybody these types of tools in case there's an opportunity for them to be utilized in a different environment, in a different industry sector. I'd be really keen to hear back from you if that is the case. And then we have a lot of custom applications, and unfortunately we can't go into a lot of detail about these because they are written specifically for customers, built on a particular specification. So how we normally develop these is we work with a customer who has a specific set of requirements. We build a specification which we agree on, and then CADCORP create the application within the web map environment and deliver that to the customer. Some of these provide a significant competitive advantage to that customer. They're under non-disclosure agreements, so we're not going to be showing them or talking about them in any detail, but just to point out that we do have a lot of experience creating these types of applications on the web map environment. They can include lots of additional CADCORP sys functionality. I mentioned routing is one example. So the whole of the CADCORP sys API is available to developers to create additional custom applications. So all of the functionality, if you're familiar with our desktop application, is available in this way. And these can be created by CADCORP or yourself if you've got the skills to do this, or a third party equally. Can utilize the Geognosis API, the Web Map API to create very specific custom applications to deliver functionality. So the fourth type of application are these integration applications, and we've got quite a lot of these. The way in which CADCORP sys Web Map can link to other data sources or other applications. They can either be add-ins, or we can use our embedded maps application. Our embedded maps is a way that you can drop a CADCORP sys web map into another environment and functionality alongside that as well. And we also have several standalone custom applications that we've built together with customers to link to other applications, such as planning applications and other third-party apps that are available. Some of the examples we'll look at in a bit more detail is linking to what 3 words. So we link to the what 3 words API, which enables you to type in the 3 words of your location or retrieve the 3 words from a location on the map. Aligned assets, they're single point gazetteer. We've got many customers who have linked CADCORP sys web map with aligned assets, and there's a few different ways in which those applications integrate, which is utilized widely. And then we also integrate with Web Map for Power BI. So we integrate by dropping in Web Map environment into the Power BI environment and being able to access visualizations using geographical information, which we'll show you in more detail in a second as well. So these add-in applications, there's several different ways in which they can be implemented. The 2 main ways really are they can be added and configured by the administrator, by the customer essentially, the web map administrator. Some of them can just be dropped in, and then there's a really simple configuration to either to link to data sources or to link to APIs. So some of them, such as the what 3 words add-in, for example, that can be dropped in. Alternatively, CADCORP can complete the implementation on your behalf. So CADCORP can install the applications and configure them. Varying levels of configuration are available for some of the more applications that require a bit more thought, such as local knowledge. We can configure that completely for you, or we can help you complete the configuration yourself. And our technical colleagues get involved in that process. So I'm going to hand over to Simon in just a second, who's going to use CADCORP sys web map to demonstrate all of these different applications that we've discussed. Local knowledge, report it, edit, find it, the fire query tools, what 3 words, the aligned assets integration, and CADCORP sys web map for Power BI as well. So Simon should have control and be able to share his screen now. Excellent.
Great, thank you, Fergus, and good morning, everybody again. So on screen is CADCORP Web Map, and we heard from Fergus earlier that this is an easy-to-use web mapping application which allows you to share that spatial information, whether that be a sort of intranet mapping system for your internal colleagues, or maybe as an external-facing application for the public. And the application itself has loads of functionality for viewing and interrogating data, and it's a great way for non-expert users to access geographical information. And most of that functionality is available under the main menu here in the top left-hand corner, where users can turn data layers on and off on the map. They can perform their own spatial searches, maybe perform measurements on the map. They can draw their own annotations, and they can also print PDF maps as well. These are just some of the functions that are available within WebMap, but the main focus today is to look at the WebMap add-in applications, which are also available under this menu. And these applications enable you to maximize the value of the web mapping application. So let me now show you a few examples from a number of different sectors of how you can get the most out of your web mapping investment. And I'm going to start by looking at the 4 web map add-in applications that are available. So we know web mapping is a great way of sharing spatial information, and users can drill down on the data on the map, or they can perform their own spatial searches. But sometimes users just want answers to their questions at a click of a button. Now, the local knowledge add-in application for web map does exactly that by delivering content to your service users in a really simple, intuitive way. So on the map, I maybe want to navigate to my area of interest. So right at the top here, in the search facility here, I'm going to search for my location by adding a postcode. And from the list of available results, we're going to navigate to that location on the map. Then under the main menu, in the top left-hand corner, I'm going to run the local knowledge service. Now, what happens in the background is that the coordinates for the center of the map are used to query a variety of business layers in the background. And these queries are basically your questions. Then local knowledge returns the answers to these questions in the interface on the left-hand side. So my example uses local knowledge as a sort of a self-service channel for members of the public, where they can maybe view information for a variety of council-based services. So for this first example, I guess in GIS terms, it's a point in polygon question. So it tells me what ward I'm in and who my councillor is. The second example is another sort of point in polygon test. So this tells me at my location, when are my bins due for collection. The third example is a find my nearest type search. So on any kind of point data set you might have, you can list what is the nearest to this location. And this example informs me where the nearest electrical charging points are if I want to charge my electric or hybrid vehicle. And if I click on the first result, it takes me to that location on the map, and we get a pop-up box which provides me some additional information about this particular item. The next example is kind of a mathematical and a spatial question. Excuse me. So within 5 kilometers of my location, it tells me how many antisocial behavior crimes have been reported. And then finally, at the bottom, another find my nearest type question. So this time we can see where the nearest public toilets are within 2 kilometers of my location. Now, another benefit of this service is that it's not restricted to a single map. In WebMap, you can publish as many maps as you like, and every map can have its own set of questions answered by local knowledge. And that means you can set up local knowledge for different teams in your organization so that they can tailor the service to focus on their specific business areas. But yeah, another example of facilitating online self-service is to allow WebMap visitors to report issues and problems to your organization via the map. And users can do this with the Report It add-in application. So for this example, I'm going to use this location option here at the top to navigate to my current location because I want to report an issue near where I live. Then under the main menu, I'm going to open up the report menu. Now in this example, I've got some problems that a member of the public might want to report on. And as an organization, you can decide what types of problems or issues a visitor can report. So for me, I'm going to report an abandoned vehicle that I've seen left abandoned on the road. And then at the bottom, the visitor has a choice. If they're making their report on a desktop device, they can simply click on the map, the location of that report. But as you know, many of the visitors to our websites now access them on tablet and mobile devices. And this tool can accommodate that by allowing visitors to select their current device location to report the issue. So since I'm on my desktop device, I'm going to click the location on the map where that report is, and then move on to the next part of the process. So out of the box, I need to submit an email address as a form of contact. So I'm going to enter my email at the top here. Then underneath, I can provide some additional comments to supplement the report. So I might say car with no tax left on the road. Now I can also provide evidence with that report in the form of an image. And this works really well if you're reporting initial on a mobile device, because you can take a picture on your phone and submit this as part of that report. And then when I hit submit, that report is sent as an email to the team who needs to respond to that report. And each problem or issue you have listed here can have its own email recipient. So these reports can be sent to the relevant team within the organization so they can respond to them. That same report can also be saved as a GIS layer, stored in a database such as Oracle, SQL Server, or PostGIS. And if I turn that layer on the map, we can see that report that I've just submitted. And for our colleagues, if we made this data available in the map, we can drill down on that data by clicking on that report. Then on the left-hand side, I can view all of that information I provided in that report. I've got a link to the image that was provided. I've got a link here where I've created an email template. So when I hit this, it opens my mailbox, and I've got an email template that I could potentially use to respond directly to the person who's made that report. And I've also got a hyperlink to Google Street View as well, where I can maybe just view that location in more detail in this platform as well. So Reporter is another way of encouraging self-service, where the map interface underpins that reporting capability. And once that report has been submitted, it can then be sent to the team who can then respond to that immediately. So the third web map add-in application I'm going to show is Edit. Now the Edit application in Web Map gives you the capability to create and edit data in the web map. And this brings a number of advantages, such as being able to share the burden of data management to colleagues across your organization, because this really simple to use interface makes it really easy for colleagues to manage their own business data sets. Or for those colleagues who might have a desktop GIS license just for editing, they could be migrated to the web environment so that other power users can use the desktop licenses for other GIS tasks. Or you can simply just reinvest that saving from desktop licenses into this web environment where more users can benefit from that additional functionality. Now for editing, you do need to have security enabled on WebMap, but that could be Active Directory or Forms authentication. And that just allows you to manage who has access to this editing capability. Now in the interface itself, you can decide what layers are available for editing. And from the drop-down list, I've got a layer showing my grounds maintenance responsibilities that we maintain. And we can now see that layer is visible on the map. And I want to add this area here as a new piece of grass to my layer. So on the left-hand side, I'm going to select this. I'm going to add the feature as a polygon. And I'm also going to tick this enable snapping option. And that allows me to snap my new feature to the master map data that we see on the map, so we can capture new features accurately. So if I start to capture my piece of grass, we might just see it pull towards the corner there of the master map data. That's where it's kind of snapping to the data, and we can go around and capture my new piece of grass. And once I've captured it, we get this attributes dialog that automatically appears. Now the administrator can define how each attribute is managed, and this helps to ensure that information is captured accurately. So in my example, the street name here is just a free text field. So I am just going to enter the street in here. Underneath is a date field, and here I'm going to be capturing the date of when the feature is added to my layer. It will automatically populate today's date, but you can type in a different date, or you can select a date from a calendar view. Underneath, we then have two attributes where I've created two drop-down lists for the user to populate from. And this speeds up the process for capturing data, but it also means the data is being captured correctly, and I'm not able to sort of misspell any of my data entry. When I hit save, that new feature is then added to that data set, and we can see that available to view on the map straight away. Now, in addition to creating data, you can edit data as well. So maybe this area of grass, a few months down the line, has been changed to a flower bed. So using the selection tools, I can select that piece of grass, we can edit its attribute and reclassify this to a flower bed. And when I hit save, we'll see on the map that the style of that feature has changed accordingly to represent that this is now a flower bed. Let me just show you one more example. And this approach was actually inspired by one of our customers. And another layer I've made available within the editing tools is this summary layer for my grounds maintenance data set. And this layer provides a summary of the grounds maintenance. And within this sort of red dashed line here, we've got an accumulation of the square meterage and the length for the grounds maintenance assets that need to be maintained within this particular area. So for my Alfred Herbert Close area, I'm going to draw an area on the map to cover that specific area. And once captured, it automatically accumulates all of the grounds maintenance responsibilities that fall within that area that I've just drawn on the map. And what you see here is dynamic. So if the grounds maintenance layer is updated, all of these values will update accordingly. So just as an example, if I go back to that flower bed that we added to the layer, at the moment we can see 96 square meters of flower bed need to be maintained within this area of interest. But when I delete that feature from that grounds maintenance layer, it automatically updates and we can now see there's only 14 square meters. So that was just a few examples of how the editing capabilities in WebMap can be used to manage and analyze data, helping you to potentially migrate desktop users to the web platform, freeing up desktop licenses for other advanced GIS work, but also providing an opportunity for more users to have access to the editing capabilities to manage their own data. Now, the fourth and final WebMap add-in application I'm going to show you is Find It. And if you've got a requirement to perform a location or constraint-based search, then Find It for WebMap is a great tool for performing searches quickly and accurately. And this application can be incorporated into your business processes. This could be used for maybe performing environmental impact assessments for proposed development sites, maybe summarizing your property portfolio or assets, or perhaps performing a risk assessment in the community for emergency planning incidents. Now, in my example, I may be a planning officer for a local authority, and I've just received a planning application that I need to process. And I've already captured that planning application boundary using those editing tools that I've just showed you. So I'm now going to launch the Find It service to perform my constraint search. Now, in the service, you can define your area of search in 4 ways. You can draw a freehand area on the map. You can select master map features, or you can simply place a point on the map with a defined buffer. But in my process, I'm going to use this selection tool to select the planning application boundary. We can see that reference on the left-hand side, and then I'm going to run the search. So in the background, the service takes that selected boundary, then finds all the features that intersect it from multiple constraints and data sets. And then on the left of the dialog, we can see these results presented to me. But instead of scrolling through these results in this dialog, I'm going to hit this on the right-hand side here. So what we see here is the results of our planning constraints report. On the first page, we can see when the report was generated and how many constraints were found. And then underneath the map, we can see the map showing our area of search. And then on the following pages, we then see the results of our Find It search. So first of all, we can see our location information, such as we can see this is what parish we're in and what ward we're in. Underneath, we've got some neighbor consultees information that intersect my area of search. And then underneath that, we then scroll on to our constraints data. So first of all, we can see this planning application intersects our conservation area. This is a Bishopthorpe conservation area, and we can see some additional attribute information underneath there. We've also got our flood map. So this area intersects the flood zone 2 from the Environment Agency. Our planning application area also intersects a designated green space area, which could be a designation from our local plan. And then underneath, as a final example, it's also found that there are a number of tree preservation orders that intersect that planning application boundary. And we can see the references here and the different types of species for those trees as well. So in this example, the Find It application has been incorporated within the planning process to perform a constraint search on planning applications, and it's created that evidence base in the form of this PDF report. But the application is flexible. You can decide what layers you want to search upon, and you can also define the look and feel of that PDF report as well, so that it can fit within your business requirements. So that concludes my overview of the 4 web map Addin applications where I showed you local knowledge, report it, edit, and find it, all of which can be tailored to your organization to provide additional benefits to your web mapping system. Now, in your web mapping environment, it might be important to integrate with other back office systems such as databases, APIs or web services, or even services provided externally by third-party vendors. And these integrations help you bring content together in this environment. One example I've got to show you is the integration with the Aligned Assets single point web service. Now, Aligned Assets provide software solutions for address gazetteers, and this web service connects directly to your gazetteer from your Aligned Assets system and allows web map users to search for an address directly from the gazetteer. Now, at the top of the interface is our quick search box, which I showed you earlier with the postcode search, but this time I'm going to search for a lighthouse in Plymouth called Smeaton Tower. So my search criteria is sent to the web service, and then it responds back to WebMap with a list of results, and we can see how quickly it was to return those results. Now, when I select the result that I'm interested in, the map will take me to that location. And just to get a better view, I can zoom out and turn on some aerial imagery to show that data or that location in a different view in the map. And because that connection is a web service, it's dynamic, so any new addresses that are added to the gazetteer can be searched upon straight away within WebMap. So that's just one example of an integration that is available within the WebMap interface. However, web mapping that you see here isn't just confined to this interface. It can be embedded into websites, for example, so you can share location information in a map within your organization's website, but it can also be interrogated within third-party applications as well. Now, one example is integrating the map with Microsoft Power BI. Microsoft Power BI is an analytical tool that allows you to create interactive reports or visualizations of your data in a dashboard style. And to complement those reports, you can embed a map into these reports using CADCORP technology. And the benefit of adding that map is that you're able to provide geographical context to your data. Now, the example I've got on screen is looking at insurance claims data, and the prominent visual on this report is our embedded map. And the benefit of using our technology is that you can publish Ordnance Survey data as the backdrop mapping. And in this map, I've given access to the grayscale version of Ordnance Survey data, but in this base map picker, the user can select between a color version and a grayscale. In the map, I've also published some data layers, which are some boundaries and a hotspot, which I can turn on and off on the map. Users still have the ability in this embedded map to zoom and pan on the map, and we can see the controls on the top left-hand corner there. The red pins identify the locations of our claims data. And in the bottom right-hand corner, the cursor location is shown in the OSGB Eastings and Northings. And this is another benefit of the CADCORP integration, because you can interrogate your data with your Eastings and Northings coordinates. If you were to explore some of the other map integrations available in Power BI, they only work with longitude and latitude. So there would be a process of sort of converting your data to work with these integrations. And then finally, in terms of the functionality of the map, if I hover over a claim, we get a pop-up box as well, so we can see the claims information about these. So see some additional information about these claims. Now, to the right of my report, we've got some of the Power BI visuals that are available in the application. So for example, I've got a card here which tells me the total amount of claims. To the right, I've got a card which shows sort of the total amount that's being claimed. Underneath, we've got a chart which shows the different types of insurance claims. And then at the bottom, I've got a table providing some additional details. Now, right at the top, maybe I want to filter the data and look at claims in a particular area. So I'm going to look at claims within the Hull Road area. And once I apply that filter, all of these Power BI visuals update. But most importantly, on the map is also updated to now zoom in and just show me these 19 claims within the Hull Road area. These updates also work with the charts as well. So maybe I want to focus on these 6 house claims. If I click on that part of the chart, again, everything updates and the map updates as well. And then at the bottom, maybe I want to focus on a specific claim. So if I click on one row in this table, again, everything updates and the map zooms into that location. Now, if I just reset all of the filters within this Power BI report, so far I've shown you that if you click on any of these visuals, then the data updates in the map. But if I were to click on a claim on the map, this time the click on the map updates the Power BI visuals on the right. So for this example, we can see how much is being claimed. We can see it's a motor claim, and we've got some additional details there at the bottom. So that concludes my sort of overview of the web map integration with Power BI, which can add that geographical context to your data within Power BI reports. And so that brings an end to my demonstration this morning, where I showed you a variety of the web map Addin applications and some of the integrations available for maximising the benefits and value for a web mapping system. So I'm now going to pass you back over to Fergus, who will wrap up and answer some of the questions you have raised during this webinar. Thank you for watching.
Thanks, Simon. So great to see all those applications all working. So just in summary, really, when maximizing your web mapping system, these add-in applications which you can invest in additionally can improve the business processes. You can increase that level of service to the customer, whether that's a member of the public or an internal customer, and therefore grow that return on investment into a web mapping application. So we've had lots of questions, which is great to see, and we have overrun. I said we'd be about 40 to 45 minutes, so we'll certainly answer as many as we can. So I did answer one earlier, which is great. Right, let's have a look at these. Does the edit tool use a form to write back to the database? So I think this question was asked before we demonstrated the edit add-in, so that might have been answered, but just to reiterate, so the edit add-in within the web map environment connects directly to the database. So CADCORP Sys supports Oracle, SQL Server, and PostGIS as ways to store spatial data, and the edit add-in is connecting to those tables directly. So it's up to you, and we can discuss how that is configured, whether it's a live database, the core data, or whether it's a separate table somewhere else to receive edits and changes. But essentially, the capability is there to write directly to that database. Does Report It have any functionality to link to a gazetteer? So yeah, that's a really good question. So we looked at Report It, which is a way to report items on the map. So it does have a way to link to a gazetteer, but what you would the workflow would be to use the gazetteer first, use the quick search tool within the web map environment, which links to your gazetteer of choice. It could either be, it could be the Aligned Assets gazetteer, it could be using an Ordnance Survey API, it could be using your own internal gazetteer or your own database tables to search on the item. That pinpoints the location on the map, and then you could use the Report It functionality to report on that specific location. So that's how those two things would integrate with one another. We have a question. What version of CADCORP is this available on? Now, I did notice when that question came in, it was when we were demonstrating the edit capability again. And I know the person who asked the question. It's available on your version. It's Edit Add-in is available in WebMap Layers 8 and CADCORP Sys WebMap 9. So we're looking at 9 today. That's the current release. But the Edit Add-in is available in older versions as well. Having said that, we do encourage all of our customers to be using the latest version of the software, and that is available for you to upgrade when you want to. The next question, how does snapping work if you want to trace a curved line? Yes, that's a really good question. The editing capabilities, especially the data capture elements of that within CADCORP Sys WebMap, are designed to give basic editing capability through a web map environment, but we still recommend CADCORP Sys Desktop to be the place if you're doing advanced data capture, or if you're doing a lot of data capture. There's tools in there which allow you to trace curved lines, for example, and allows you to find routes and just allows the whole data capture process to be a lot quicker. So if you want those advanced data capture tools, CADCORP Sys Desktop's the place to be. How does edit function handle simultaneous multi-users? Yeah, that's another good question. So referring back to my earlier answer, we're writing directly into a database when we're editing the data. So it's really the database that's controlling that capability to have simultaneous multi-users. But you can have multi-users utilizing WebMap to be editing the same table, so the same overlay at the same time. And it handles that well. That's what databases are good at. So it's not a problem, but we'll be keen to have a conversation with you about your specific requirements in a bit more detail. The next question, what happens to the downloadable PDF if you're using a mobile device? Do you get the same functionality irrespective of device? I think this is referring to Find It, when you can run that report and generate a PDF. So more generally speaking, the mobile view opens up if you're using a small screen device. The application will recognize what device you're using and will direct you towards either the mobile view or the desktop view. The mobile view doesn't have all of the same functionality as the desktop view, but because some of the functionality just isn't appropriate on a really small screen device. So Find It, that's available in the desktop view, and all users who are on a small screen device get automatically directed, this is configurable of course, to the small screen, to the mobile view, but you always have the choice to go back to the desktop view. So if you want to open the desktop view on a small screen device and use Find It, download the PDF onto the device, that's all possible. It might just be not the best environment to do that in. It might be better on a larger screen device, such as a tablet, for example. But you can always interchange between the two, the mobile and the desktop applications. Yeah, I think. Yeah, another question, does Edit work from a tablet touchscreen? Yes, it does. Yeah, all gestures are covered, covered's not the wrong word. Gesture controls are supported on CADCORP Sys applications, whether it's on the mobile or on the desktop. So if you're on a tablet and you're looking at the desktop view of WebMap, then you can use touch controls. So you tap and you can use that. There is a demonstration of CADCORP Sys WebMap on our website. It doesn't include the edit tool because you need security configured for that to be made available, but we're really happy to show you that in a bit more detail if you want to know more about that. Yeah, I think that's all of the questions. There are a couple of more advanced questions I am skipping over on purpose. So if you've asked those really advanced questions, we will get back to you directly. I'll check with my technical colleagues and we'll get back to you directly. But yeah, thank you for joining us today. And we were have overrun a little bit, but if you want to know more about any of these Addin applications and how they can interact with your web map environment, if you're in a position where you want to be looking at investing in web mapping, we're really keen to talk to you. So do get in touch either with myself or your account manager. And we look forward to hearing from you soon. Thanks for joining us today. Goodbye.